Online, KZOZ.com. That's where you can find the home for the Redzone Challenge, brought to you by Firestone Walker Brew. Your shot to go to the Invitational. Coming up this spring, we go to our expert, Ali Razzie, who went 1-4 last week. How do you like that, Jeff? He's not laughing at my jokes, but he never does. So.
That's just mean. That's just mean.
I'm getting closer to you. I'm one back, buddy.
You really are.
I think I'm going to give you an opportunity this week, though, because I picked first. As really nothing changes. Jeff and I both go 2-3 last week, missing the. Oh well, we don't need to get into that because it's a mess.
It's funny because the ones that we all agreed on were the ones that we missed. We missed Pittsburgh. We missed.
Oh, we got New England right.
Carolina.
But New England was able to beat Minnesota somewhat handily, I would say. I'm glad they're having a hard time as they get ready to travel to Seattle. That will be a game we'll get to a little bit later on. And of the 5 closest games of the week, that is the only home favorite that's favored.
Yeah, there's
home favorite that's favored. That's double.
8 road favorites in the NFL. We're going to be featuring 4 of them because some of them the spreads are like you look at like teams like Pittsburgh, who's 11-point favorite at Oakland. You probably don't like that, Ali. New Orleans is an 8-point favorite at Tampa Bay. One of the only 2 teams they lost to this year. They're still an 8-point favorite. And you look at some of these road favorites, and you're like, what the heck is going on?
Well, some of those giant spreads were too much. Like last week, depending on when you were looking at the lines, like I saw my buddy had the Raiders at plus 18. I'm like, dude, you got to hold your nose and take that. That's way too many points. Yeah. So, like even this week, I think the Raiders are getting too many points at home. So, from a gambling perspective, it's like, yeah, I'll take the Raiders. With,
I mean, and that's
8.5.
I look at that game and I think the very same thing because. Wasn't that not the Oakland Raiders who hung with the Kansas City Chiefs at home last week? Now they're getting a team coming in that's just had a demoralizing victory on Sunday night, lost their running back in the process, and you're still going to favor this team by 11 points?
Yeah, no, there's some crazy lines out there right now. Last week was a hard week, man. That was rough. Just people lost a lot of money last week with some of those teams. Green Bay getting their butt handed to them. I mean, there was a few games there.
Far too many big upsets.
Well, how about in fantasy, too? It was just a struggle to get any kind of points on the board. I don't even think I scored 100 points. I think it was like a 90. I don't know. Maybe
when you look at these bad teams that ended up winning, nobody has fantasy players on those teams.
Right.
You're not, like the Arizona. Like Chase Edmonds. Nobody has Chase Edmonds. He scored 2 touchdowns for the Cardinals. He made up most of their offensive output.
So let's
Are you guys in the playoffs? Sorry.
Yes. Oh no, not at all. Proud to say we're both in the playoffs. Jeff's a 3 seed. I'm a 4 seed, and
unfortunately, I have to play this week. And the person I was literally. This is how my fantasy makeup took place. Okay, is I literally was contemplating benching guys so I could get a more favorable. I was watching the points of the 2 people, and the better matchup ended up. It looked at like they were going to drop from the 5 to the 6 seed, which meant I was going to face the better matchup. And I was cruising. Then James Conner gets hurt, and I look at the bench of the person that I'm going to play next week, and who's he got sitting on the bench? Jalen Samuels. And I'm like, damn! I had an easy victory, and I still think I'll win. But
I think they're coming out and saying Connor's injury isn't that bad.
Oh no,
I haven't. Is he out?
Yeah, he's out. He's out.
Oh, he is.
Yeah,
or the opening stuff was like the coach came out and said it wasn't that bad.
Yesterday,
so I got him on my team that's not in the playoffs, so I haven't really been following.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't in his ankle, and then they were going to look at it.
They said it was a bruise. Then they said, nope, it's actually an ankle.
Oh.
Could be a couple weeks for Connor.
That's too bad for you. The biggest shit talker in the league.
Fantasy karma's a B.
I learned karma's a B a long time ago.
Can I tell you, this is my opponent this week, and I would not be surprised if I lose because my matchups aren't that great. My opponent this week is the guy that I've trolled the hardest all season long. And then Connor goes down in the last 5 minutes of the game, and then he gets an RB1 delivered to him on his bench. And I'm just like, that's fantasy karma, all right. That's fantasy karma.
Let's get to week number 14 here. This is an interesting matchup. We have a lot of road favorites. Visiting team favorites. That's not something we see a lot of, a majority today in the 5 closest games of the week.
Brought to you by Firestone Walker. Quickly, since we touched upon it, are you in the playoffs? Because I don't want to make it seem like we don't care.
I am in the playoffs. I just squeaked out a win, and I literally played a guy that had half a New Orleans team on his fantasy team.
We have one of those in our league, too.
And they just happened to have their worst game of the season, fantasy-wise especially. So that was nice. I squeaked out a win against them. The crappy thing is I play them now the first week of the playoffs, so back-to-back games.
Well, I do have some good news in the Red Zone Challenge, Ollie. You and I are creeping, but we are getting a little closer to Jeff. Jeff is sitting at 39-26. You are 6 games back at 33-32, and I am 7 games back at 32-33. All right, week number 14. We'll start off with Carolina, a road favorite, traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Carolina favored by 1.5. Now, I don't know what's going on in Cleveland. They've been playing a hell of a lot better lately. They've been winning some games.
Except for when they have to play in Houston.
Right. And they've been winning at home. And Carolina is falling apart. I see, what's the coach's, Ron Rivera? Riviera?
You think he's done?
I think he's going to the Riviera down in Mexico after this game. I think he might get fired because I believe that the Cleveland Browns, I'm picking them to beat the Carolina Panthers.
I know you wanted that to be like super climatic. But
I'm in a room with you. That's impossible.
I too am taking Cleveland on this one, so it's not like
damn it.
I think there's too much going wrong for Cam Newton and the crew, and it sucks for Christian McCaffrey because that guy's playing his ass off and should be going to the playoffs, and they need this. They still are in the playoff picture, believe it or not, despite their recent struggles. But I think this is the week that we stop talking about Carolina in the playoffs. I think Cleveland finds a way to win. They got something dynamic going on there in Cleveland, and they like home. So that's why I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns.
I think your guys' Seattle fandom's kicking in here because I'm taking Carolina. I think if you remember Carolina earlier this season, they were good, and there was talk at one point about Cam being MVP. A sneaky MVP candidate. I think the whole trend here regresses to the mean. I'm taking Carolina. If you're right, if they don't win this game, I think Riverboat Ron is definitely on the hot seat. That new owner doesn't care a bit about Riverboat Ron, so Carolina has to have this game for their coach. So we'll see. We'll see if they care or not. I'm taking Carolina.
What the hell is that nickname? What does Riverboat Ron mean?
He's a gambler.
Because he's a gambler.
He's a gambler man.
I'm sorry. I'm naive.
I forgot that they had a new owner because didn't the old owner Jerry Richardson get caught up in some sexual harassment scandal? Or something? Yeah.
Yep.
I totally forgot about that.
All right, we move on. This is Week 14, game number 2. Another road favorite, Detroit, the Lions. Where would they be a road favorite at? Probably one of a few places. One of them being Arizona.
They have to go all the way to the desert to be favored.
Yeah, they're on their way to Phoenix. They're favored by 2.5. But I don't know. Arizona, okay, they beat Green Bay. They get a little momentum. Things are starting to happen. Josh Rosen isn't looking as bad as he used to. Adrian Peterson gets into this game a little bit. But number one, I think Detroit's a bunch of chokers. And I think they're going to get in there, and they're going to go up a little bit, and then Arizona's going to come back, and I think they can win this game. And I need a victory, so I'm going Arizona Cardinals.
I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. And I don't know why I'm going with the Detroit Lions. I think Arizona is going to I think it's going to be the
Kool-Aid factor?
I really do.
A little too much celebrating after beating the Packers?
They're going to think that they're better than they are.
That's scary.
They're looking in the funhouse mirror right now, and they see an eagle, but they're still a cardinal. And therefore, they're the Arizona Cardinals, and
Poor Cardinals.
They're going to lose to the Detroit Lions.
I don't have a strong feeling either direction on this. Is by far one of the worst games of the week. That means nothing. I'm going to. I'll go since Jeremy went with Arizona. I'm taking Arizona too. I can't let them catch up to me here. So I got no analysis on this.
Play a little defense.
Well,
play a little defense.
Yeah. You better hope that Carolina pulls out that win in Cleveland. Oh man, this next one. I love the upsets this week, and I think the Rams are just shaky enough, and they've barely won some games that they were in. But they travel to Chicago. They're a 3-point favorite on the road.
I'm so glad that this game made it into our 5 because oftentimes we joke about the 5 closest games being the 5 most garbage games, like that last one we just picked. This game has got. I mean, this is what you watch football for.
Is this Sunday night? This is Sunday night football.
Offense versus defense. It's gonna be a fun one to watch.
I mean, Chicago. Go ahead.
No, this is Mac versus Donalds, or what's the guy on the Rams there?
Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald versus Khalil Mack. Yeah,
Mack.
It's a great. This has got the makings of just a brutal game, but I love it.
Look at last week. All right, they get upset, and I'll call it an upset from the Giants. And that was a hell of a game. I'm sure you guys watched it. They were in that game. They have some great plays. I think they're going to be pissed off. And I think the Rams having to travel all the way across. Of course, it is Sunday Night Football, so it's not like they have to play in the morning, but which is usually the factor.
But it is nighttime in Chicago in the winter,
right?
And I'm looking at the weather forecast right now. It's not supposed to be windy.
Are you guys picking the upset too?
I'm going Chicago. It's not supposed to be windy. It's not supposed to be rainy, but it is supposed to be 30 degrees at kickoff time. So it'll be on the cold side. And Jared Goff, we know that he's a California boy.
Mm-hmm.
But
was he?
Go ahead and make your pick.
Was he Cal? I did. Chicago. Is he Cal or Stanford?
He's Cal.
Yeah,
he's Cal. And I will be picking the Rams to win this game.
Ooh.
Oh, good. Good for you.
I am also picking the Rams.
Nice.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Boy, I can really make a move this week. I can really do it.
No, I think my reasoning is going to be your reasoning, Ollie. So I'm going to defer to you. Go ahead.
I just think they're the better team. I think that quarterback's not 100%. Not that the line's going to move much either way. Goff actually doesn't do too bad in the cold. He plays pretty damn well in the cold. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I was looking at it when I was looking at these games, and he's pretty damn good in bad weather.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I think the Rams are a better team. Personally.
Oh yeah. Well,
I do too, especially with Aqib Talib back. And if
Talib's back even better.
Even if you have, this is what my rationale is. If you have, even if Mitch Trubisky comes back, he's going to be a little rusty from the sitting out for a short period of time. And also, the shoulder doesn't seem like it's 100%. You're going against the best team in the National Football League right now, with more weapons than they've had all season long. Therefore, I think that the Rams escape, and I think they escape beating the spread.
And one thing about Chicago too is they play better if they have a lead, or at least that quarterback does. When he doesn't have to have a lead and he actually has to come back in games, he's kind of a mess. You can read where he's throwing the ball. He has to run. So I think the Rams just have more weapons, like you're saying, and can score more points.
Well, I hope you're both wrong. But after listening to you, I'm getting a little nervous. My palms are sweaty. So let's move on. Minnesota.
This next one is hilarious.
In Seattle. Seattle, the only home favorite.
We're not going to do Giants at the Redskins?
Oh, God, I missed one.
Wait, you forgot a game.
I did. Let's do that one first.
Giants at the Redskins. Okay, so let me give you the background of this. Prior to, and I don't set lines a week in advance, but Washington would have been a favorite in this game had they not been forced to start Mark Sanchez in this game.
Yeah.
The Washington Redskins are a mess across the board. And I feel bad for the Redskins, but maybe it's a little Reuben Foster karma. Because they had a good team for most of the season. They had a decent team. It looked like they were in a clear path to win that. Alex Smith goes down. Then Colt McCoy goes down. They lose to the Cowboys. Now they lost to the Eagles. They looked terrible after Mark Sanchez. They were down 2 scores in that Monday night game. 2 scores, but there was still like 5 minutes left, and they didn't even try. They're like, okay, we're just going to walk out of here with the W. They could. I mean, teams in the NFL can score 2 scores in 5 minutes. We see it happen all the time. Insert the Seattle Seahawks. So please tell me that this Washington Redskins team has not given up. I don't think you can.
I think they have, yeah, for sure.
You gave up on the game completely. You weren't even going to include it in the 5 games.
Well, I mean, I think this is an easy one for all of us, but I'm going to go Giants. Jeff?
NYG for me.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I think everything you said was
why don't we
right.
just leave it out? All right, moving on. No, it's got to be in there, right? It's one of the 5 closest games. So we're all going Giants on that one. All right, so now we got Seattle 3.5-point favorite at home over Minnesota. I'm a homer. I'm going to pick the Seahawks. But, Minnesota has been playing as well as they started the season off. And, I don't know what's going on with Cousins. He's not even looking my boy's way anymore. I mean, Adam Thielen is just like, hey, bro, come on. I've got 9 100-yard reception games. I'm over here. He got 3 passes last week. One of them was in the ground, one of them was in the end zone, and one of them was for 7 yards. I don't
understand what happened in that New England Patriots game. I think it was one of those situations where they were intimidated. It feels like they were intimidated.
Well, I think that, what the Patriots are classic for is figuring out what your one weapon is and then shutting them down. That's what they did to Thielen. Yeah, I mean, they took Thielen out of that game, so much so that he almost started a fight with Belichick on the sideline. That was my favorite part of that.
Yeah, what was that? I mean, was that over a first down or was that over?
He was squawking at him because he felt like the player on the field was faking his injury and they were doing it to spend more time. And so he started yelling at Belichick, and Belichick told him to shut the F up.
Yeah, STFU.
Isn't he the one guy you would really, if you could have one guy open up and have a beer with, and he would just literally, because he won't do it for the cameras. I would love to sit down with Bill Belichick for an hour.
And Mike Leach. I want to sit at a table with those two.
I don't know. I rather hang out with your coach. I think he'd be way more fun to party with, just because he's such a positive guy. Belichick would be like pulling teeth to get him, unless you start talking the history of football. I have a feeling, I
don't know, if you had Mike Leach and Bill Belichick at the table, you probably wouldn't get a word in. But after a while, they would eventually start talking to each other.
They would start talking to each other, and you get Pete Carroll in there, and
Carroll
he would be annoying the two of them.
Yeah, they would look at him like, don't you have somewhere to be, Pete?
I'm sure you'd feel really good about yourself after hanging out with Pete Carroll, though. I'm sure he would amp you up, a good radio host you are and stuff. How he listens to your show every week.
What's your favorite kind of gum? You like Dentine? I love Dentine. Yeah.
Why do you think we invite Joe Calero from Cal Poly Basketball in here so much? The same personality.
All right, Jeff.
I know you're going with Seattle. I'm going to go with Seattle, but I think if I were to remove my home team bias on this one, I still would go with Seattle, because that is a brutal travel schedule that the Minnesota Vikings are dealing with. Minnesota had to go out to New England, play the game in New England, get dealt the loss, be told the STFU, fly back to Minnesota, or I guess only Thielen was told the STFU.
Yeah.
Fly back to Minnesota, land, do whatever they got to do, then get back on. They're traveling salesmen this week. Get back on a plane, go out to the Pacific Northwest, where the environment is hostile on a regular basis, and the efficiency in which the Seattle Seahawks are playing right now, on both sides of the ball, it's weird.
I just hope the defense, being a fan, doesn't get a little overhyped and drink the Kool-Aid factor comes in after beating the hell out of the 49ers.
Yeah, that's the one thing I worry about.
This is going to be a different offense with a lot more weapons.
Michael Kendrick's coming back, making the Seattle Seahawks defense even that much better than they've already been, which is not great, but it's serviceable.
Yeah.
And I feel like Minnesota is that team that has been good on paper coming into the season, that has not had a chance to gel. And I know they're desperate mode right now. And this is such a big game for the playoff pitcher. Such a big game for the playoff pitcher. but in big games, who rises to the occasion?
Mm-hmm.
Always Russell Wilson. You cannot.
Plus, you're in Seattle.
Count Russell Wilson
and
out.
that crowd.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be. An insane place to go into.
Too much for the Minnesota Vikings to overtake. So I'm going strong Seattle.
Yeah, I'm hoping Ollie picks Minnesota though.
I am not. I can't go against you squawks right now, man. Those birds they're amazing right now.
I love the stat line on Russell Wilson last week. They score 43 points against the 49ers?
Yeah.
I was hoping to be 49 because that would be really good. By the way, did you guys see the touchdown celebration? And I'm so mad because I was going to tweet this.
Which one? The one that didn't make sense?
No, not that one. That one's from a movie. It's a reference to a movie.
Oh, okay. Like they all line up and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "What are you doing?"
It's an Eddie Murphy movie. But the one where they recreated the Richard Sherman interception.
Oh yeah.
So I was thinking last week, I was reading a string of tweets about Richard Sherman's return to Seattle, and I thought, how cool would it be? I know you guys are going to accuse me of being a Monday morning quarterback on this one, but I thought, how cool would it be if the defense scores a touchdown, they recreate the Richard Sherman interception in the end zone? And they ended up doing it. I'm so mad I didn't tweet out about it.
Well, hey. I would say, if anything, you're a great choreographer, and you didn't even know it.
I love the touchdown celebration.
It's not like the poet didn't know it because it doesn't rhyme.
I swear. Somebody was reading my mind. Pete Carroll, you're reading my mind. All right, I guess Pete doesn't really have anything to do with the celebrations.
Ollie Razzie from Firestone Walker Beer. Will you have a beer with us next Friday, the 14th, when we're up there in the tap room for the KZOZ takeover?
Yeah, I'll swing on by and say hello.
Yeah, what time do you usually get off work?
About 5:30.
Oh, yeah, we'll be there by 5. So you can come over and hang out with us.
Sure.
And we'll be there till 7. So have a beer.
I got the beer bong in the other room if you want me to grab that
I'm not
out,
going to do
too.
the bong. No, I don't really want to do the bong.
I'm really nervous about this. Just so you know, I'm really scared. That's why I made all these picks. I'm
I just
standing
been
on the edge.
practicing all year long with that beer bong, so I'm getting ready.
What's the limited release right now? Is it the Manhattan?
The Old Manhattan,
Yeah.
yes, is it's essentially a hybrid version of we kind of played on a Manhattan and an old fashioned. It's delicious. In fact, when you guys come up, we'll do a little taster of it.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Yeah, now that's an old cocktail. I know, Jeff.
I went there on Friday night, and I wanted to try it so bad, but I was the driver, and I was responsible for driving my kids and other people's kids.
That's for a taste.
And I was like,
do a taste.
Yeah, but my luck, I'll get pulled over, and then they'll smell it.
Oh, gosh. But here's the deal. It's a good thing, because now you can have a full one.
And my daughter goes to school and talks about it.
On Friday the 14th. And maybe that'll be the beer
plan.
that you're going to beer bong next year after Ollie and I come back from the depths and beat you.
I don't see that happen. Didn't we all just pick the same games?
Nope. No, we did not. I'm different than you on Arizona, Chicago, 2 games. All right, man.
Slowly
Ollie, we'll
but
talk to
surely.
you next week then, and we look forward to that beer.
Sounds great. See you
right.
guys then.
It's firestonebeer.com is the website. Check it out. See what's going on there. Don't forget, you can win 2 tickets to go to their invitational exclusive beer festival. We got a couple $100 in cash we're going to throw your way to spend at the tap room of the brewery. We got some swag. It's a lot of fun. And every week you can win something cool like $25 to Cowgirl, Bon Tom's, or Moe's Smokehouse. Sorry.
Not a steakhouse.
All you have to do to play, log on to kzoz.com, click on the Redzone Challenge, brought to you by Firestone Walker Brew.